guns, silver, and knives, mostly knives these days. I got inspired by a couple of videos by two knife tubers over on YouTube, knife channels, and they're doing a 5-for-5 buck knife challenge. And the challenge is that you pick a selection of 5 buck knives, and you carry one knife per day for 5 days. It's simple stuff. We don't over challenge each other. But today, HT's EDC they claim they're using a buck. This is the 3rd day of the challenge for people doing the challenge. I'm not really doing the challenge. I'm just gossiping about the challenge. But I have a Duke 500, and he brought out a Duke 500 to use for today's 5-for-5 challenge. And he also happened to compare it to a buck 112, which the truth is the handle size and length of blade are pretty much, they're similar. They're the same length of handle and blade length between the 112 and the Duke 500. And he's got a buck light. I think it's model 442, which is similar in design to the buck Slim Select 112 Ranger. Blade shape is different, of course, because it's a modified clip point on the Buck Light and Slim Select Rangers, as opposed to being a fairly sharp, stylish drop point. Different in many ways to the shape of the Buck Ranger 112 classic, or not classic, drop point Ranger, and of course somewhat the same to the 112 classic clip point Ranger. But I'll get into that issue in a minute. Right now I'm going to compare shape and weights differences between the 112 and the 500 Duke. So we'll see what happens. Come around here. Get set up if I can. I don't know. We're mostly interested in the knives, not my face. I got a new pair of glasses, but these aren't them. And I discovered that they're wonderful for driving and seeing distance, new ones, but out to about arm's length and a little farther, there are distance glasses, and I needed to go back. I dug through all my old glasses frames. Yeah, I keep my old glasses. And you never know when you're going to need a part off your old glass frames to make something else work, whether it be a screw or the earpiece or one of these nose guards, whatever it is. You grab off an old frame, take stuff apart. Lenses not so much, although these bifocals, I never thought they'd come in handy again after I quit welding, but for my close-in vision used to be my saving grace when I was welding. I'm nearsighted since I was 12, and I could pass the Jaeger number 2 test at 16 inches with no corrective lenses. So for decades, I welded and passed the Jaeger test it out to 16 inches unaided. But as I got older, because that happens, I noticed I had to start drawing in closer, like Aiton. When you're TIG welding, you're creating x-rays up close to your face, and they recommend that distance, hold that distance out. I cheated a lot. I got in close and I welded without glasses because they sweat and the fit goes off and you have problems in long-term welding. But for safety's sake, you want to keep that 12 to 16 inches away from both the heat and the negative effects of the arc. Especially with TIG, you've got basically a tungsten stripe going on a fairly dense metal, and you're going to create X-rays with an arc. And so they recommend that you don't get that close, and you have a good, your coverlet shield and your lens. Any rate, you don't want to kill yourself welding or ruin your eyes. But it turns out I had another disease that took me out of welding anyway. But the fact is that bifocals came in handy. For about the last 5 years I welded, I used these, and these are well over 20 years old. Probably 24 years old. I quit welding 17 years ago, so yeah. The bifocals are old, but they've come back in handy, and like I said, I don't throw anything away. I'm not a pack rat, but I do keep, I like the metal of them also. These are Inconel, the nickel alloy frames, so being a kind of semi-precious metal, I paid a lot for these frames relative to the age. I mean, I think most things, a lot of this was American-made or European-made back in the late 90s and 80s and 70s. So they have a little nostalgic value and maybe a little metallic value. We'll see. Well, I'm off on a tangent there. Let's get back to buck knives. All right. The Buck Duke 500 is now this is drop point, and I have the classic Ranger 112 with the brass bolsters and the clip point, and it's beautiful and still sold, available on the website, the Buck website. The drop point version of the classic goes in and out of supply on the Buck website. You can find them off. You can find them on eBay. So sometimes they get a little pricey, depends on how old they are, but the Buck collectible drop points are nice. And I've been looking for the drop point in nickel silver bolsters, also the nickel silver in the clip point, but my most sought after is the drop point nickel silver right now, and I don't think they're available on, they may be, I gotta check the website again, but I like these a lot, and I like the nickel silver bolsters, which are standard on the Duke 500. But as you can see, the size comparison is quite similar between the 112 and the Duke. The frame width is quite different though. The Buck 112 Ranger is much heftier, the frame design and bolsters, than the Duke 500. The weight is obviously different, but I'll show that in a second here. And the shape of the handle differs between the two. The grip, hand grip, ergonomics to the knife is different, both fore and aft on the knife. These are, like I said, these are ebony scales. I might have mentioned that in my short. No, these are brass bolsters with ebony scales, and this was nickel silver bolsters, the Buck Duke with, they may be rosewood, but it could be a laminate. I don't, like I said on my short, I don't care. I love the look of the Buck Duke 500. This is a very practical knife, and the shape of the drop point is different, but you have to be real fussy to add or subtract points for that particular issue. All right, weight-wise, This is in ounces. The Buck Duke 500 weighs 4.7 or so ounces. I don't know how tightly calibrated this scale is, but yeah, 4.7 ounces. And you can see the design and shape of the bolsters and scale. It's still one piece welded, not welded, machine design work on the halves of the frame. All right, up here closer on the machined halves of the frame, bolster design of the Buck Duke 500. The FRN fiberglass reinforced nylon versions of the 112 Ranger make it slimmer, of course, than the Buck Duke, but same length of frame, handle, same length of blade. Of course, the modified clip point's different, but these are similar size and shape knives, the Slim Select Ranger and the Buck Duke 500. The difference on the 112 Classic Ranger nickel, these are brass bolsters, ebony scales, similar knife, knife sizes, narrower, of course, design of the frame on the Duke 500, hefty design of the Ranger, which is a true field and ranch hunting and working knife, but the blades are the same length, little different size of drop point. Handle widths and lengths are the depth, I guess you'd call that, to draw from the thumb to the little grip on the handle on the Ranger is deep. It's not really deeper, it's just heftier. The weight on the Ranger is 6.1 ounces, which is 1.3 ounces heavier, 1.4 ounces heavier of a knife than the Duke 500. That's the drop point. The clip point version, just maybe less than an ounce difference because of the clip point design between the drop point design of the 112 Ranger Classic. I like these knives. They just are heavier. With the actual 112 Ranger will fit in the Duke 500 sheath, although it's kind of like trying to fit into your high school prom suit difference, if you know what I'm saying. Or like some of you ex-military guys trying to get into your old private uniform. It's just different. It's a fat boy fit if you're trying to stuff that 112 into the Duke sheath. It does fit though. Yeah, it'll fit. But at any rate, the knife designs are similar, like HT said. They're just beautifully different. The Buck Duke is ergonomically pleasant. It's a gentleman's carry, and it looks like it. It's a work of art knife. It truly is beautiful. Any rate, this would be a great carry for the 5-day challenge. I acknowledge HT's EDC and everybody who is doing the Bug 5-day challenge. All right, enough of me yapping. God bless all you knife nuts. Remember that Jesus loves you. Take care and have a great day.